The Jammu and Kashmir State Investigation Agency, or the SIA, raided 8 locations across central Kashmir while investigating the 1990 killing of Kashmiri Pandit nurse or Kashmiri Hindu nurse Sarla Bhat. The searches targeted the residences of individuals formerly associated with the band JKLF, or the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front. Among those was the home of former JKLF leader Pir Nurul Haq Shah. The SIA has said the operation recovered incriminating evidence, including documents and digital data, which investigators believe will help unravel the conspiracy behind the murder. The SIA took over the investigation sometime last year after the original police probe failed to identify the perpetrators. The agency said its renewed efforts are the Jammu and Kashmir administration's resolve to bring the culprits of justice even decades later on the principle of justice delayed but not justice denied. Now, let's look back. What happened? On the 18th of April 1990, terrorists kidnapped 27-year-old Sarla Bhat from a hostel of the Sher-e-Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences in Srinagar. In fact, that happened on the 15th of April 1990, and her body was found, or her mutilated remains were found on the 19th of April 1990, if my memory serves me right. Now, an Anantnag resident and a nurse at the SKIMS, or the SKIMS, Sarla Bhat had openly defied militant diktats ordering Kashmiri Hindus to quit government jobs and leave the valley. The terrorists shot her dead and dumped her body in downtown Srinagar. Reportedly, she was gang raped multiple times. Her body was mutilated before ridden with bullets. The killers left a note branding her as a police informant, quote unquote. Now, even after her death, her family was threatened and warned against attending her cremation. The police case went cold for decades due to lack of progress, or perhaps no interest in trying to bring justice and to try and counter the entire story behind the exodus of lakhs of Kashmiri Hindus. We get to that in a bit. But this is just a microcosm of what happened to Kashmiri Hindus in the late 80s and the early 90s, between 1988 and 1991-92. Now, there were rampant targeted killings of community figures and attacks on Hindu temples. There was open capitulation to the JKLF in the kidnapping of Mufti Said's daughter. Exodus of Kashmiri Hindus began after circulation of hit lists. Hizbul Mujahideen put out messages in newspapers ordering Pandits to leave. September 14, 1989, lawyer and Kashmiri Hindu Tikalal Taplu was shot dead outside his Srinagar home. November 4, 1989, Justice Neelkant Ganju was murdered by terrorists in Srinagar. December 27, 1989, Advocate Premnath Bhatt was gunned down near his home in Anantnag. Now, there are no official figures of the exodus, but it is estimated, and as per reports, 700 Kashmiri Pandits killed, 65,000 families migrated, 64,951 families are registered as migrants. 43,618 migrant families currently reside in Jammu. 19,338 migrant families fled to Delhi, and they have now made the Delhi NCR region their home. 1,995 migrant families in other states and union territories. However, the courts of our country have not been open to restarting investigations. On the 22nd in November 2022, in fact, the Supreme Court dismissed a curative petition for investigation, saying no case is made out. September 19, 2022, Supreme Court rejected a plea filed by son of lawyer Tikalal Taplu, who was murdered by terrorists. September 2nd, 2022, the Supreme Court refused to entertain a PIL seeking probe into the killings of Kashmiri Hindus and Sikhs. July 24, 2017, beg your pardon. Petition for probe dismissed by the Supreme Court. No fruitful purpose will emerge as evidence is unlikely to be available. So the court had already prejudged the entire matter back in 2017. Let's go across to our guests, SP Vaid, former DGP Jammu and Kashmir, Amit Raina, Kashmiri activist, and one of those who had to, as a child, as a youngster, suffer this entire aspect of leaving their own home, their lands, and then fleeing to Delhi region, Delhi NCR region. Naresh Raina, brother of late Sarla Bhat, And Sunil Kaul, son of Lieutenant S.H. Chaman, now he is Chaman Lal Kaul, and also lost uncle of late Shri Somnath Raina. So let's go across to them, and I'm going to start with Naresh Raina. Naresh ji, after many years, some movement happening in the Sarla Bhat case. What are your thoughts now? Have you given up? Is the next generation of those who have not actually seen, or those born after the 1990s, even aware of what you, your family, your parents, all of them had to go through?
Yeah, so this was, we can say, unfortunate event for entire Kashmiri community, Kashmiri Hindu community particularly. We cannot say Kashmiri community, Kashmiri Hindu community, that we have suffered this exodus and the killings of our sisters, our brothers who were in the, we can say, government jobs, and the major reasons being Hindu, number one. Number two, we cannot, we can say, rule out the support from the colleagues also to, we can say, carry out these killings, or supporting the militants to carry out these killings. So as far as our sister's point was concerned, so we had been, actually most of us had been migrated from Kashmir at that time, and she was actually, her salary was uphold in her we can say office, and she was, because she used to live in Tikar, so our sister's family was in Tikar, so she was married to in Bandipora. When she went to her office, so she has a colleague, we can say, the friend of her in the same locality in Tikar. She was also the employee in that office where she used to work. So problem was that she was called one day to get the salary, but it was delayed. Maybe whether it was, we can say, deliberately delayed, or there was some genuine issues. So she was asked that, okay, you come next day. Then she went from Kupwara to back to Bandipora. It is very far from Kupwara. Then next day morning, so because they were also planning to leave from Kashmir to Jammu, so she went for the salary. So the next day it was again delayed. When she came back to Kupwara, so she didn't get the bus. So at that time she has only one source, that okay, she has this Muslim friend. So she actually, Mr. Friend, she called her, okay, you stay at our home, because mostly we used to do one thing, that we Hindus used to, we were not actually eating from the Muslims, for the reason that they are eating the beef. So she has been given separate, we can say, utensils. Okay, you stay at our home for the night, and by tomorrow you can leave to Bandipora. Then in the evening, so the same house where the name of the owner is Ahmed Malik. So his daughter-in-law was that teacher. So she was, we can say, colleague of our sister. Then the same day, same night, so our sister has been kidnapped from their house, and she had been killed, and all the story everybody know. But after that, so I was at that time, I was of 17, 18 years. So when we migrated to Jammu, so this, we can say, cruel event we cannot give away. But at that time, as a community, we cannot expect support from the Congress government. So it is known to the world. But by at that time, maybe people were not understanding. But you can see what is happening in Kerala, what is happening in West Bengal. So these are the examples of Kashmir. So we have actually faced it in the rule of Congress. So we were not, as a community, we were not expecting the support from Congress government. But from 2014, we have hopes from the BJP government. We have hopes from this government. So most of our activists, they have actually started to, we can say, raise these issues with the hope that there is Modi government, we can get the, we can say, justice to our sisters, to our brothers from this government. But Honorable Supreme Court, High Court, so they have not entertained our community's pain. So we have given up, that either we have to do the way that in Dharma, so we have to, we can say, pick up the weapons and kill. But maybe nowadays it will be given the, we can say, example of that, okay, Hindus are killing Muslims. But if you are not giving the justice to our sister, what is the alternate?
Was she a
And now
police
the point is
informant?
that
Nareshji, was she a police informant? One. Two, did you ever try to seek justice? Did anybody try to seriously investigate
to
this?
see what Kashmiri Muslims at that time did. So I am not saying against every Kashmiri Muslim, because there were Muslims who have supported us to get out from Kashmir. So there are Muslims who have supported us. But I, being a person, as being a student of 18 years, they have leveled the allegation on us also. If you have the haircut small, then you are an army informer. We were told that you are going 15 kilometers every day in the morning to get the training from the army camp. So these were the allegations. These were the, we can say, how to justify the killing of a Hindu. So these are all allegations in this way. A person who is we can say working in laboratory, how can she be the informer of police when she is working 10 to 4 p.m. in the office? So where she has the time to inform of the people? So this is
this was baseless.
This is the justification of killing
this was baseless, and nearly 35 years now, and still no justice in sight. It's only the investigation. SIA has picked it up from last year, and they're trying to join the threads. And see, I'm just going to get everybody else's comment, and then please weigh in, Nareshji, let everybody else also speak. SP Vatsap, thank you for your patience, but I'll come to you towards the end. Let's just listen in from Sunil Kaul and also Amit Rana, and I'll come to you, sir, because you were an SP at that time, if my memory serves me right. You were still posted in
I was
that
in
region.
Budgam.
You were an SP in Budgam. But Sunil ji, let me ask you, you've lost 2 members of your family to this kind of violence and this ethnic cleansing that many believe got broad brushed or swept under the carpet and was branded as just migration of people from one region to the other. Your thoughts now?
Absolutely. First of all, at the outset, let me make one correction. As you said, my father was not lieutenant. He was with JK Industries as senior accounts officer.
Ji, I stand corrected there. Chamanlal ji and Somnath ji were your father and uncle. Yes, please.
That's right. So, very next month to when Sarla ji was, brutally killed, in the month of June 1990, that was, to be precise, 24th June, by the time we had already moved to Jammu part, because the education was completely standstill in the state in the part of Kashmir, and we moved to Jammu somewhere in the month of April, and my dad continued to stay there, and my uncle too, because we had dad's aunt there who was, of course, was so much attached with the place, never wanted to leave. So finally she had agreed to leave, and they were to leave on 30th of June. So it all happened on 24th of June 1990 when they were kidnapped from our home in Chadawal, Srinagar. So they were kidnapped, and my uncle was kidnapped outside the home. He had gone out to purchase something, and the terrorists, some 4 terrorists, kidnapped him from the outside, and his paralytic mother was also there, and what he told them, what we have been given to understand, is that he asked them, let me take the final, because he was knowing that what is it going to be. So he asked them, requested them that let me take the final, let me see my mother last time. So they let him, and because after that they went to our home and kidnapped my dad also. It was Sunday, when during the 1 o'clock the deaf and dumb news on the Doordarshan used to play. So they first went to my uncle's house, which was very opposite, and from the distance they asked them, okay, go and take the final permission, see your mother for the last time. So his mother, being paralytic, she kind of crawled, and because she saw people outside with the guns, and they hit her so hard that his mother, Somnath's mother, that till few years back she was completely bedridden. Her backbone was completely damaged. So that's one part. And then they kidnapped both, and the dead bodies were found about more than 24 hours later, very near to the Sher Kashmir Institute, the medical sciences, where Sarla Bhat ji used to work. on Dr. Ali Jan Road. That was about 15-16 kilometers from our place. And the condition, it was not dead bodies, it was, the mutilated pieces, two bodies, two pieces, multiple pieces of two bodies into two gunny bags. And as we have been given to understand, even the parts were, there were cigarette bits into the parts of the body. And we got to know, we were in Jammu, as I said at the beginning, we got to know on 25th late night at around 11:30 p.m. When the SP Srinagar's message to SP Jammu, along with they came in along with SP of Jammu region, along with our relatives. They came to our house. We had, by the time, we were on a rented place there because it was an exodus. Everybody, most of the Kashmiri Hindus, after moving from their home locations, they moved majorly to Jammu, then some Delhi and rest other parts. So we were on the rent. So, and when we tried to go there after that, my uncles, other uncles, wanted to go there. We were not let for the security reasons. And what we got after a few days is the ashes only. We have not even seen the dead bodies, even till this date. Right. What we got after a few days was the ashes of two bodies, which we later, immersed into the Sangam in Allahabad. So,
did nobody tell you who were the perpetrators, who were these terrorists? Had they wanted, could they have solved this? Could they have found the murderers, the brutes?
Yeah, everything what happened in Kashmir was in connivance with the locals. I mean, howsoever we want to be, very, we want to whitewash that, but the masses were in support. It was in cahoots with the neighbors that all these things happened. Of course, there was, cross-border arms and ammunition, and then, the terrorism was being flourished. Of course, as Nareji said in his comments, there was the then governments were catalyst to the flourishing of the terrorism there, and the letter of the then Governor Jagmohan, which is in public domain, to Rajiv Gandhi. I mean, everybody can read that. Wherein he says, if no action is taken now, it will be too late tomorrow, which actually happened. And it's not just the story of, Naresh ji or me as Sunil Kaul or anybody else. It is the story of every Kashmiri Hindu. If you ask any Kashmiri Hindu, so he will tell you one or the other story, what has happened. You may give numbers to 700 or whatever, but actually, if you ask me, the numbers go much, much, much beyond that. Because it has always been put under the carpets, and of course the then government put it under the carpet, the system put it under the carpet. Human rights didn't exist for us, and surprisingly, the Honorable Supreme Court of India, in our case also, acted other ways, by not letting the petitions move ahead. What more injustice would it be for us? Justice denied, justice delayed. In our case, it is both, plus adding salt to our wounds by not letting the investigations or some cases to get investigated move on. So
it hurts. It hurts and it's shocking. Amit Raina, you have some understanding of the law also. And I'm okay if people, viewers and the courts would like to judge me, but they took suo motu cognizance of stray dogs and the issue of strays. But there's never been suo motu cognizance of the state of lakhs of families who had to flee their homes, leave their homes, and and whose loved ones were brutalized like they were. Does that not hurt you?
See, when I approached on behalf of my organization, Roots in Kashmir, to Supreme Court, I thought that I understood the law or had some understanding of law. And I was hoping that Supreme Court will open the doors of justice for the victims of ethnic cleansing and genocide. and Supreme Court shuts down the door by citing 27 years have passed, it is 2. Since no fruitful purpose would emerge, as evidence is unlikely to be available at this late juncture. And next, within 6 months, the Supreme Court goes and reopens the Sikh right cases, saying that it is important to assure those countless victims waiting patiently that despite the challenges, truth will prevail and justice will be done. And I found constantly that whenever it comes to justice for Hindus, the Supreme Court is reluctant, or the judiciary in this country is reluctant. I do not know why, or is it only my perception? But that's the way I perceive it. Murshidabad, they do not act. Kashmiri Pandit cases, they do not act. But they go sumo to cognizance on all Gujarat right cases. I'm not saying that they should not do it. They should do it. But why turn a blind eye when the victim is Hindu in this country? And unfortunately, the executive also has played along. While judiciary may have disappointed us, nothing stopped the executive from going and ordering an SIT or getting an NIA to probe into the cases. Till now, there has been a zero conviction on any killing of Kashmiri Pandit or a Hindu or a Sikh in Jammu and Kashmir. We are sitting on a zero conviction rate. We have evidences of people getting killed. We have confessions of people like Yasin Malik on Air Force case, on Neelkant Kanju case, and we still do not have conviction. So it reflects poorly both on executive as well as judiciary, probably more in judiciary, because judiciary is the last hope for any citizen to get justice. And if they also sit and idle and ignore the plight of Hindus, I honestly don't know what to say. And 2 years back, the SIA reopened 2 more cases, which was the Justice Neelkant Kanju assassination case and probably the case of Lasakol, the director of Doordarshan. We also have not seen much progress in both the cases. So the 3 people prime accused in Sarla Bhat case, which is Javed Nalka, Yasin Malik, Bitta Karate, because the other 2 are no more alive, continue to go unpunished on such a heinous crime. So it is definitely worrying. We continue to fight for justice. I honestly do not want to fight for revenge. I want to fight for justice. But I think sometimes the system pushes you to go and take a law into your own hand. We do not want to do it. We believe that the Kashmiri Pandit community is an educated community, and we will ultimately succeed. But there would be youngsters in the community who would get fed up with the system and try to do something which we do not want should happen.
Now, interestingly, the KPSS, which is the Kashmiri Pandit and this group on X, has actually posted that even today, even in these days and times, there are poor Kashmiri Hindus who are facing, what the Kerala courts have termed as love jihad and abduction and forceful abduction and conversion of Kashmiri Hindu girls. And it's still happening right under the noses of the administration. So not much seems to have changed on ground in terms of hostilities, making it a hostile environment, or people being left to fend for themselves. Sheshpal Vaidji, thank you for your patience. Your thoughts, sir?
Andy, and good evening to your viewers and my co-panelists. See, there is absolutely no doubt what the horrors this community had faced. I think it's so harrowing to listen to the tales of all these, and we have known them since 90s. But let me mention here, the attitude of the judiciary is very, very surprising. I tend to agree with Mr. Amit Raina. Somehow the impression which comes out of top court's attitude actually leaves many things to be answered by some of our people in the judiciary. But coming to these cases, I'm glad that SIA has taken up the investigation of late Sarla Bhat. Whatever evidence, I'm saying you are not going to lose anything in pursuing whatever little evidence you can lay hand on. Though 35 years is a very, very long time. But these are horrendous crimes. Even if 50 years have passed, you can't deny justice to the families who have suffered this. And courts are not going to lose anything by constituting SIT or ordering NIA. A special team is formed. So, pick up these cases wherever evidence can be found. Go after that evidence. There's a lot of witnesses who are still alive. From, let's say, in this case, she was kidnapped from that particular house. After all, who all were present there? Who did they recognize the person who came? And I tend to agree with my co-panelists. Many of the these happenings happened with the knowledge of the people around. There absolutely no doubt that many of Muslims in Kashmir did help their Kashmiri Pandit colleagues. I am witness to it. I was heading a district in Badgam. But let me mention here, there was total collapse of the system, complete collapse of the administrative and policing system. I am personally witness to the sheer survival. In fact, me and some of our colleagues, the mere fact that we just held on to the district single-handedly was that appeared to be the, I think, biggest achievement. That was the condition. Policeman could not go and even think of interrogating a person or a catch holder. That was the at that time. They were scared of going where the number of terrorists were all around, so many. But what is important is when situation improved. When situation improved, it took about, till 94 when SOG was formed, there was absolutely total zero response, accepting filing of an FIR. Nothing was done in any of these cases, and many of other cases also. But after 94, when SOG was formed and all these terrorists we started having after CAT operation, going for encounters and catching them, I think then situation started turning, leading to later on holding of election in 97 and political government came. After this situation improved, there should have been a serious attempt to investigate, go after the witnesses, go after the evidence, whatever evidence is available, and challan them. Some of them were challan much later, and some of, like Yasin's case, facing in the Tata courts, and some of them are getting convicted. But yes, Bitta Karatta is known for his admission. All of us have seen his confession on the state national TV, official government media. Similar, this Yasin Malik. Now, there are many neighbors who knew who were the people who came to kidnap her. Many of them were scared at that time. But today, things have somewhat improved. I think serious effort should have been made. And even now, it is my personal feeling is, I am retired after now last 7 years. I personally feel even now, I don't know why Supreme Court is rejecting it. Whatever serious effort could be made, please provide justice to these people. It will be a little, let me say, if not 100 cases, maybe in 12 cases or in 13, 15 cases, you are able to provide justice to these families. It will be a great healing. And this is very little.
It's not about healing, it's also about accepting the truth, sir. As Amit Raina said, if the cases of 83 and 84 and that massacre rightfully deserve justice, and they should never. Why not those who have been killed with this whole entire idea of a pogrom of ethnic cleansing? And Nareshji, yes, there were a lot of people who supported, but they helped you to escape. They didn't help you to stay. The attitude was not that we will ensure that you stay back. And a lot of your lands, your property, your wealth, when I say your wealth, the Kashmiri Hindu wealth, those people who had to flee their places, जो था सब छोड़ छाड़ के भाग गए ना, कुछ आपके लिए तो कुछ तो आपके पास छोड़ा नहीं. They didn't return it to you, and they won't return it to you even today. So how can there be any semblance of justice there? Nareshji, your thoughts? Then Amit, coming to you.
Yeah, so the point was that, for example, the people who are living in the villages, why I am giving this reference that most of the people supported. But those who killed our sisters, they were also our neighbors. They were not from Pakistan, so they were locals. They were from our neighbors. They were our own people who used to be very close to us. So in this case, if we can say our sister's case, so when I grown, so I went 10 years ago to Kashmir. So by that time, so I met one of my Muslim friend, of course, from the same area. So we used to play cricket at the time, but the information he gave, but you don't have the evidences for that. So the one person involved in this murder was the son of this Ahmed Malik. So who we can say that he was the brother of that lady who used to be the friend of my sister. Number one was one cricketer. We used to call him Firdos at that time, and today he's a doctor in Kupwara district. So these are the two people. Either I have a choice to kill them, or government should actually find the evidence. Because if I will say the names today, then in government or anybody will ask for find the evidences. So evidences are with them. All these evidences, police or this government, if they want, they can find the evidences. This is the powerful government. If they can track the people, they can track the militants in Pakistan and shoot them in one shot. They can find anything.
No, you think the courts are right in trying to say, "अरे बहुत time हो गया, आपने कुछ कोई फायदा नहीं है."
No. Then if you are justifying that, so you are asking the people, okay, you do the murder today and went to any other country for 30 years, come back, then all is gone because 30 years are there. If you are justifying, so problem is only one thing. So if government wants, because we don't have the vote bank, this is the main problem. We don't have if we were the people having the vote banks, so BJP, Congress, so they would have resolved this issue. So BJP is also, because we are supporting BJP in a way that they are at least taking we can say, they are discussing about Hindus. So that is one reason only. Otherwise, they are in full majority with full power in Kashmir since last 10 years. And in state, they are since 2014, they are also doing nothing for this community for one and only one reason, that we don't have the vote bank. We are surviving with the blessings of Jagmohan and the education which our ancestors has given us. Don't pelt the stones, focus on education, and we are surviving based on that only.
No, but just because the pursuit was knowledge, pursuit was of Saraswati, does not mean that the troubles that your families and lakhs of others have had to undergo should not be. There should not be any justice. Amit Raina, you're making a point, and then soon I'll come to you for another comment. Yeah.
I agree with you that there was no help from the locals. They definitely let us. They helped us in. Go out or push us out of the valley. I would say they helped us in being pushed out of the valley. Now, if you look at the slogans that were raised at that point of time, whether it was "We want Kashmir without Kashmiri Hindu, without Kashmiri Hindu men, but with Kashmiri Hindu women," or the posters that were posted outside your door, which threaten your women, girl, child, sister, mother, and not a single Kashmiri Muslim came out and said that, "Listen, what you are doing is wrong." I haven't heard a single political leader coming out and saying, "Look, what is being said is wrong. Do not target the minority. Do not target the Hindus." If you want to understand how Dhimmis live in Islamic State, you could very well see what has happened in Kashmir post 1990, even earlier to that. And you are right that even today, the Hindus living in Kashmir are living in a Dhimmi status. They cannot raise their voice. They cannot open their mouth. They cannot force their opinion. I was I was in a debate in Srinagar, and I was talking about 370. And since I oppose 370 and support the abrogation, I was told point blank on my face, saying that, "Panditji, if you want to live in Kashmir or you want to stay in Kashmir, you will have to speak our language." Then that guy realized his mistake. Probably someone told him about me and he came and apologized to me. But he did say in front of hundreds of people. And that is the mindset that prevails even today in Kashmir. And they will treat a different opinion, a different faith as not acceptable to them. And a Hindu or a Sikh is given a dhimmi status in Kashmir even as of today.
That's how they're being treated. So, Sunil Kaul, final word. We've tried to highlight this. I think there should be a renewed push given the SIA investigation and make a stronger case and go to the courts of the day and also make the argument that Amit Raina has made here on the right stand. The courts of our day have to take the right stand. Justice has to be delivered. Even if, like SP Vaidji said, 5 out of the hundreds of cases, there is some justice, there is some sense of closure. Yes, Sunil.
I completely agree, and as Amit Raina ji said, his efforts in putting this across in front of the Supreme Court of India. But ultimately, howsoever try we do, it's there has to be reciprocation. And now these cases are not, it's not that nobody knows about these cases. And when Vivek Agnihotri could meet 700 families to make a 3-hour movie, why can't the courts do that? It's a question that the system needs to ask themselves. And does it take 35 years for a case to be reopened, for an exodus, for a genocide of its kind? Just a case to reopen, does it really take 35 years? I mean, this question in itself, should haunt us, haunt the system, haunt the governments, be it the previous dispensation.
I think there is also, you're not a weak voice, you're all very strong voices, and if you are able to just organize yourself and this becomes stronger, and there is perhaps now is the right time to move yet another vociferous and perhaps a very strong vocal effort where everybody comes together to make this point heard. Sometimes शोर मचाने से ही लोग सुनते हैं. So make the right noise perhaps. I have to leave it at that, gentlemen. Thank you very much. My sincere thanks to you, and let's just hope there is some closure at some level for all of us who have suffered at various levels because of this, and this needs to stop, and the world needs to wake up to what's been brushed under the carpet for very, very long. Thank you very much. Moving on, and before we pick up the other conversation that we had lined up, big news coming through, and this is from Sambal in Uttar Pradesh, and there's a big blow to Samajwadi Party MP from Sambal, Ziaur Rahman Burke. There's been an order issued to demolish Ziaur Rahman Burke's illegal construction. The court has also imposed a fine on the MP. The fine has been imposed for constructing a house without the approved plan. Amit Singh joining us with more details. Namaste Amit, बताइए.
जी देखिए, ये एसडीएम कोर्ट संभल के द्वारा ये फैसला सुनाया गया है, जिसमें साफ साफ लफ्जों में ये लिखा हुआ है आनंद कि जो अवैध निर्माण किए गए हैं जियाउर रहमान वर्ग, जो कि सांसद है समाजवादी पार्टी से संभल से, उनको अवैध मकान का जो अपना पार्ट है, जो मकान का अवैध हिस्सा है, उसको उन्हें 1 महीने के भीतर खुद तोड़ना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो फिर प्रशासन का बुलडोजर वहां पर उनका मकान जाकर अवैध जो हिस्सा है उसे तोड़ेगी। इसके अलावा 1,35,000 रुपए का जुर्माना भी लगाया गया है। दरअसल ये पूरा मामला दिसंबर महीने से शुरू होता है, जब प्रशासन की तरफ से लीगल नोटिस सर्व किया गया था जियाउर रहमान वर्ग का, लेकिन इस मामले में लगातार सांसद की तरफ से डेट पर डेट लिए जा रहे थे और आज एसडीएम कोर्ट का यह फैसला निकलकर सामने आया। फैसला आया है, स्पष्ट शब्दों में यह फैसला है। अब जो लीगल रेमेडीज इस वक्त जियाउर रहमान वर्ग सांसद संभल के पास बचता है, वो कि इस फैसले को वो चुनौती दे सकते हैं डीएम कोर्ट में या फिर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में जाकर इसको चुनौती दे सकते हैं। नहीं, अगर इनको चुनौती नहीं देना है तो उनका मकान का जो अवैध हिस्सा है उसको उन्हें खुद गिरा देना है, नहीं तो फिर 1 महीने के अंदर, फिर 1 महीने की मियाद जैसे ही पूरी होती है प्रशासन का बुलडोजर पहुंचेगा। इसके अलावा अगर बताएं तो ये पहली बार नहीं है जब सांसद पर जुर्माना लगा, इससे पहले भी तारीख पर तारीख लेने के लिए भी उन पर जुर्माना लग चुका था। जी
धन्यवाद अमित, थैंक यू। Moving on, viewers. US President Donald Trump has stated that America's steep tariffs on Bharat over its import of Russian oil have dealt a quote-unquote big blow to Moscow's economy, which he said was not performing well. Donald Trump continues the tariff offensive, claiming that it is bringing more wealth and investments into the United States as well as easing the pressure of inflation. However, the impact has led to a rise in prices across the United States as tariff pressure is being placed on the consumers in the US of A. In fact, the reactions have been quite tepid after Bharat's revelation of US's double standards.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
China buys more Russian oil than India does, and they have not been targeted for that. So why is India having its tariffs doubled?
As the boss says, let's see what happens. Keep in mind that we have over 50% tariffs on China.
What Trump is doing here, as I write in the Wall Street Journal this morning, is trying to find a way to get out of the Russian-Ukraine war entirely. He doesn't want to make it look like he's failed. He doesn't want to admit that Putin has stymied his ceasefire efforts.
Now, Trump seems to be using tariffs of 50% on Bharat as a pressure tactic to get Russia to agree to ceasefire, as he's set to meet Vladimir Putin in Alaska. But his pause on Chinese tariffs and no signs of Putin ending the Ukraine offensive has indicated how this tactic is actually failing. In fact, the direct counter has been the empowerment of the BRICS nations against the tariff regime. Brazilian President Lula spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping as part of his outreach to allies after Donald Trump thrust Latin America's biggest economy into the middle of his global trade war. Now, this call between Lula and President Xi comes after the Brazilian president dialed Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also President Vladimir Putin. The Indian government is confident that it has the economic power to withstand the tariffs onslaught, highlighting an impact of only overall 4.8% of exports. But given the economic uncertainty caused by the tariffs, can Bharat actually weather the storm, and how would we read into it? What should be Bharat's response? Let's go across to our guest this evening, Brahma Chalaniji, Strategic Affairs expert, and also Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, Trade and Development. Raymond, Brahma, namaste. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Let me ask you, Raymond Vickery, your thoughts. Can Trump continue to walk this path? And from India's point of view, what is India towing the right line and showing the right amount of restraint?
Well, this whole approach, thanks very much for having me. This whole approach of President Trump is exactly opposite to what ought to be done. The idea that you're going to use tariffs for any and all purposes, that somehow if you will just up the economic tariff, that you will bend other nations to your will is exactly the wrong approach. Since World War II, the United States and India have been leaders in a multilateral approach to international trade. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade and then the World Trade Organization, both of which have been able to sustain prosperity, growing prosperity. So this is absolutely wrong. It's particularly egregious in the case of India to try to combine a 25% across the board for some sort of economic benefit for a fortress America, if you will, economically, and the question of Ukraine and what happens with oil and how that problem is solved. I'm all in favor of an across-the-board cooperation between the U.S. and India in regard to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But just trying to beat India over the head, one of our great partners, we have so much in common, whether it be China, whether it be climate change, across the board, we need to promote cooperation between the U.S. and India. And this has driven us back into an era of estrangement. And we can only hope that saner heads will prevail on both the Indian and U.S. side to get us through this very difficult time.
Yeah, interestingly, the former ambassador, U.S. ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti, is on record to say that India was encouraged by the U.S. to buy more oil from Russia to keep the global energy prices stable, so that there is no energy crisis that happens when Russia-Ukraine war had happened, and there were sanctions and Europe was looking elsewhere. But Brahmaji, your thoughts?
First, Anand, this is something many forget, that unlike Iranian oil, Russian oil is not under US sanctions. There is a G7 price cap on Russian oil, but no direct sanctions on Russia's energy exports. That's the reason why the European Union is such a large importer of Russian energy, especially LNG. In fact, Europe contributes more to Russia's coffers than India does. In fact, Europe is spending more buying Russian energy than what it is contributing to Ukraine's defense. But Trump has spared Europe. He has also spared China, the world's biggest importer of Russian oil and gas. And that really goes to show Trump's approach. The approach is, quote, adversaries penalize friends. And that contrast is pretty stark in relation to India and China. He has been far more lenient toward China in terms of tariff rates. He's also spared China from secondary sanctions. India has become the first victim of Trump's secondary sanctions. Even next door, Pakistan and Bangladesh have secured lower tariff rates from Trump. In other words, he is basically on a path to punish India for whatever reason. And this risks unraveling the US-India strategic partnership. It's easier to damage a relationship and much harder to rebuild. In fact, the US-India relationship, the partnership, is based on mutual trust. Now, by eroding that trust, he is making it far more difficult to rectify things even when he leaves power. When his successor takes office, it'll be much harder because even if a US-India trade deal is eventually concluded, the damage done to the relationship will not be easy to repair. And I think this is a great loss to the security architecture in the Indo-Pacific region, because cooperation and collaboration among the key democracies in the Indo-Pacific is vital to stability in the Indo-Pacific, to ensuring that China's expansionism is contained. But here he's undermining the entire American policy of a free and open Indo-Pacific region, a policy in which India holds a central place.
True, you make a point. But is it legally valid weaponizing trade and tariffs like this, Raymond Vickery? And closer home, his own MAGA base will be hurting because there is a rise in prices because of these tariffs back in the US.
Well, I don't think it is legal. In fact, we had a unanimous three-judge decision from the Court of International Trade saying that it was illegal, and that has been appealed to the U.S. Federal Circuit Court. And the hearing, which was held a week ago on Thursday, indicated that those judges, the 11-judge panel, were very skeptical of it. Of course, Donald Trump is an expert in weaponizing the law, and he doubtlessly will appeal to the Supreme Court, where he has a majority. One can hope that in the longer run, the rule of law will prevail in the United States, and this atrocious approach to hitting everything with a tariff. And of course, it's not just India, it's across the board. And the kind of damage that Professor Chilani has just indicated in the U.S.-India relationship is exactly correct. But it's compounded, whether it be with Europe, which evidently has bent the knee, and one hopes that India will be able not to bend the knee to this real estate developer approach to international relations. But it's across the board. And I must say, for your viewers, the problem is broader in the United States from a domestic point of view than just U.S.-India relation. We have a very, very serious situation in which President Trump has attacked our whole constitutional system, the separation of powers, the checks and balances, the rule of law, those are all out the window in terms of attacks on the judiciary, attacks on institutions of higher learning, the press. And so the U.S. and India are two great democracies. And the democratic forces within each of these countries need to try to stand together to rectify the situation and get us through. I think we can get through it. I'm an optimist. I am old enough. I worked very, very hard on lifting sanctions when the nuclear test was done in 1998. And we've been through very difficult times, but it's going to take a lot of skill, a lot of cool-headedness to be able to come out of this with our two great democracies intact.
Well, as soon as those approval ratings slip below the 30% mark, perhaps someone will wake up and smell the coffee, But always a pleasure speaking with you, gentlemen. Lots of respect and love for the two of you. Thank you very much, Raymond Vikri and Brahmachalani. Thank you. Namaste. With that, we call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand, coming to you from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studios, presented by Schneider Electric Home Solutions. Brass Tacks with Zaka up next.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
भारत के राष्ट्रपति को माननीय इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के वर्तमान न्यायाधीश न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा को न्यायाधीश जांच अधिनियम 1968 की धारा 3 के साथ भारत के संविधान के अनुच्छेद 124(4) के साथ पठित अनुच्छेद 217 और अनुच्छेद 218 के अंतर्गत उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश के पद से हटाने के लिए एक समावेदन प्रस्तुत करने का प्रस्ताव है। ये सदन संकल्प करता है कि इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा को उनके निम्नलिखित कदाचार के लिए पद से हटाने के लिए महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी को एक समावेदन प्रस्तुत किया जाए। दिल्ली उच्च न्यायालय के तत्कालीन न्यायाधीश न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा वर्तमान में इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश के सक्रिय और कब्जे में नई दिल्ली स्थित 30 तुगलक क्रिसेंट परिसर में आग लगने के कारण अस्पष्टीकृत नकदी की बरामदी के संबंध में भारत के सर्वोच्च न्यायालय द्वारा सार्वजनिक किया गया विवरण हमें 15 मार्च 2025 की सुबह 30 तुगलक क्रिसेंट नई दिल्ली से जली हुई नकदी धन मलबे को हटाने के संबंध में साक्ष्य की भी जानकारी है। हमने न्यायाधीश जांच अधिनियम 1968 के सामान्य प्रावधान और विशेष रूप से उसकी धारा 3 के प्रावधानों का अध्ययन किया है और हमें उनके बारे में परिचित कराया गया है। हमने न्यायाधीश जांच अधिनियम 1969 के प्रावधानों का भी अध्ययन किया है। हमें उनके बारे में भी परिचित कराया गया है। हमने सी रविचंद्र अय्यर बनाम न्यायमूर्ति A.M. भट्टाचार्य एवं अन्य 1995 5 SCC 457 केस में भारत के उच्चतम न्यायालय द्वारा घोषित कानूनों के साथ साथ अतिरिक्त जिला एवं सत्र न्यायाधीश एक्स बनाम मध्य प्रदेश उच्च न्यायालय के मामले में दिए गए फैसलों से भी खुद को परिचित कर लिया है। 2015 4 SEC 91 और ये कि अतिरिक्त जिला एवं सत्र न्यायाधीश एक्स सुप्रभा के मामले में उक्त निर्णय को सामान्यता और विशेष रूप से पैरा 33 को पढ़ने पर ये स्पष्ट है कि दिल्ली उच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश ने न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा के विरुद्ध शिकायत को गंभीर प्रकृति का पाया और उक्त निर्णय के पैरा 33 के तहत परिकल्पित इन हाउस प्रक्रिया का पालन किया। यह भी स्पष्ट है कि भारत के तत्कालीन मुख्य न्यायाधीश ने इस गंभीर एवं चौंकाने वाले घटना और तथ्यों पर विचार करने के बाद और न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा की प्रतिक्रिया तथा दिल्ली उच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश की टिप्पणियों को ध्यान में रखते हुए ये राय बनाई कि इस विषय पर गहन जांच आवश्यक है। इसलिए भारत के तत्कालीन मुख्य न्यायाधीश ने अतिरिक्त जिला एवं सत्र न्यायाधीश एस सुप्रा के मामले में निर्णय के पैरा 33(3) में परिकल्पना के अनुसार एक 3 सदस्यीय समिति का गठन किया गया। हमें यह भी याद है कि भारत के माननीय तत्कालीन मुख्य न्यायाधीश ने समिति की रिपोर्ट भारत के महामहिम राष्ट्रपति और भारत के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री को भेजी है। ये स्पष्ट है कि भारत के माननीय तत्कालीन मुख्य न्यायाधीश ने अतिरिक्त जिला एवं सत्र न्यायाधीश एस सुप्रा के मामले में फैसले के पैरा 33(7) के प्रावधानों के अनुसार कार्य किया है, जो स्पष्ट रूप से भारत के तत्कालीन मुख्य न्यायाधीश की राय को दर्शाता है कि पैरा 33(3) के तहत गठित समिति की रिपोर्ट में पाए गए आरोप इस प्रकृति के हैं कि उक्त न्यायाधीश को हटाने की कार्रवाई शुरू करने की आवश्यकता है। उपयुक्त तथ्यों के अवलोकन और सार्वजनिक रूप से उपलब्ध तथ्यों, न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा के कब्जे वाले और उनके नियंत्रण में स्थित आधिकारिक परिसर से जली हुई नकदी की बरामदी और उसे हटाने से संबंधित परिस्थितियों की स्वतंत्र रूप से जांच करने के बाद हम स्वतंत्र रूप से ये भी पाते हैं कि भारत के संविधान के अनुच्छेद 124 के साथ पठित अनुच्छेद 217 और अनुच्छेद 218 के तहत हटाने की प्रक्रिया न्यायाधीश अधिनियम 1968 और उसके तहत बनाए गए नियमों के अनुसार शुरू की जानी चाहिए। वेदाक चरित्र और वित्तीय बौद्धिक ईमानदारी न्यायपालिका में एक आम आदमी द्वारा रखे गए विश्वास की नींव है और यह भी कि वर्तमान मामले से जुड़े तथ्य जो कि भ्रष्टाचार की ओर इशारा करते हैं वो भारत के संविधान के अनुच्छेद 124 के साथ अनुच्छेद 217 और अनुच्छेद 218 के तहत कार्रवाई और प्रक्रिया के योग्य हैं और संसद को इस विषय पर एक स्वर में बोलना चाहिए और देश के प्रत्येक नागरिक को सार्वजनिक जीवन में भ्रष्टाचार के प्रति जीरो टॉलरेंस के अपने संकल्प के बारे में एक स्पष्ट संदेश भेजना चाहिए। अतः हम भारतीय संविधान के अनुच्छेद 124 के साथ पठित अनुच्छेद 217 और अनुच्छेद 218 के अंतर्गत इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा को पद से हटाने के लिए ये प्रस्ताव प्रस्तुत करते हैं। कृपया इस प्रस्ताव पर आगे की कार्रवाई की जाए। इस प्रस्ताव को नियमानुसार उचित पाते हुए मैंने इसकी स्वीकृति प्रदान की है। न्यायाधीश जांच अधिनियम
CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. The Supreme Court's order regarding moving all 10 lakh stray dogs out of Delhi and the National Capital Region has completely divided this issue. It's become the most divisive, most polarizing issue. On the one side are ardent pet lovers who are saying that this is an inhumane way of treating animals. They're on the one hand, they're very vocal, they are very passionate about treatment of animals.